Well, I wasn't planning on making a video on this game, but Leicester could have got something out of that game. It finished 3-1 to Man City, and Man City looked comfortable for, I would say, 75 minutes. But after they went 3-0 up, they obviously decided, right, we've got our three goal advantage. We're just going to, try and defend it, but, make sure we don't give chances away for free. And they obviously took quite a few of their players off. They brought on fringe players like Cole Palmer, Calvin Phillips, Sergio Gomez, Julian Alvarez. And yeah, the quality of football's never going to be as good as it is when they've got their full starting 11 out and they're firing on all fronts. But with 15 minutes to go, when Leicester pulled a goal back through Kelechi Iheanacho from a set piece, Iheanacho scoring at the Etihad again, which hasn't happened for a while, I don't think. But Leicester had chances in that last 10 minutes. James Maddison with his one-on-one, Iheanacho hitting the post. I thought Iheanacho had the harder chance, but an inch to the left, and that's a goal. That they could have ever so easily got something out of this game, Leicester, on another day. I know, if James Maddison had scored his chance with about 5 minutes to go, the way things work, the way the world works, the chance probably wouldn't have fallen for Iheanacho. But, Leicester could have just put the pressure on and that they could have got another chance. So, yeah, this is one of them where it's a bit like, it's a bit of a missed opportunity, because I do think a little bit of complacency crept into Manchester City. They were finding it ever so easy for the first, 75 minutes of the game, because Leicester weren't really putting much pressure on. And I just think with the starting 11 that Leicester put out, Jamie Vardy was in the team, and Vardy, he had a good chance in the first half to score. Well, it was offside, but he came reasonably close. He had a bit of an open goal and hit the side netting, but that was all this. He should have put it in the back of that, but it wouldn't have counted basically. But that was all of his involvement really in the first half. And Vardy just, it was going to happen at some point that he was going to decline. He was never going to be able to maintain the form he's been in over the past 5 years forever. I mean, the fact that he won the Golden Boot in the best league in the world at the age of 33 in 2020, I think it was, it is just remarkable in itself. But it was always going to happen. And I think what's happened off the pitch with his partner in the whole Wagatha Christie case, that could have taken a toll on him as well. But Leicester do look better with the two younger strikers, Iheanacho and Daka, up front now. And I think it is probably for the best that Vardy gets slowly moved on. I mean, he is a Leicester legend, as big as they come in the history of Leicester City Football Club. But yeah, it's just one of them really. City just weren't able to put any pressure on Leicester, and that was basically inviting pressure onto City at the end of the game. I mean, I'm talking about this as if it was an absolute collapse from Man City, but it wasn't. But it was just, this could have gone a completely different way on another day, I just feel. And it was just really exciting the last 15 minutes, just because of how close Leicester were to actually getting something out of this game. I know it's only a point, but it's a big point for them in this relegation battle, I think. But yeah, I do want to talk about how good Man City were in the first half an hour of this game. They were absolutely brilliant. Some of the football they were playing, De Bruyne, Bernardo Silva, Jack Grealish, Mahrez, Rodri. John Stones' goal, by the way, the first one after 5 or 6 minutes, was absolutely amazing. And he looks like a player reborn in the past couple of months in this holding midfield role. Because Pep tried it initially with Rico Lewis. He tried to get Lewis playing alongside Rodri, which was always going to be a difficult task for a young player like Rico Lewis, who is technically gifted, definitely sure of that. But you know, when a young player's just breaking through into the team, because Rico Lewis, nobody outside of Manchester City, I would imagine, had really heard or knew much about him, like even as much as 9 months ago at the start of the season. So for him to break into the team, do really well at right back, and then be pushed into a new position, maybe an unfamiliar position, I think it was a bit much too soon for him. And I think Guardiola should maybe let him settle in a familiar position before he tries to adjust some of the things he wants from Rico Lewis in the starting 11 in the Manchester City team. So, yeah, probably a case of bit much too soon for Rico Lewis and from Guardiola. But John Stones, since he's been pushed into this position, it suits him down to the ground, because John Stones is a centre-back who, funnily enough, some of his weaknesses are occasionally his defending. He's not a bad defender by any means, but it's just there's been moments or small periods throughout his Manchester City career, I think probably back to his debut season with the club, and I mean he was still very young then. What was he, 23 when he joined the club back in 2016? And maybe that 2019-20 season where City fell off a little bit, came second to Liverpool in the league that year. His form sort of dipped a little bit. But recently, that transition into midfield, it's basically allowed him to use all of his strengths in his game and focus them a bit more into his game, if that makes sense. Like, he's always been a brilliant player on the ball. We've known that since he was playing for Everton. Like in the early stages of his career, he had 2 or 3 years in the Everton starting 11 before he went to Man City, and you know, you could just tell by watching him, and even for England as well when he was still playing for Everton, he was superb on the ball. He's brilliant at, you know, spreading play just from the centre-back position. And now what this position allows him to do is, you know, be a bit of a deep-lying playmaker, pass the ball about. It's just, it suits him perfectly. And yet we have to talk about Erling Haaland once again. What is it, 47 now? He's closing in on 50, which is obviously a ridiculous number of goals in a season. I think that's is that 32 now in the Premier League. So I'm not sure if it's 32 or 31, but either way, it's pretty much joint with Mo Salah on Premier League goals in a season, and he's going to break that. I have absolutely no doubt. I think that's probably one of the safest bets you could ever make in football, unless Erling Haaland, you know, injures himself at training tomorrow and is out for the rest of the season, which his injury record isn't the best, but it's probably a bit unlikely that. And Pep is doing everything he can to protect him. I mean, he took him off at half-time today for Julian Alvarez. I mean, it's not a bad replacement to have, but yeah, he is just incredible. And the finish for the third goal and Haaland's second, he scored the penalty. And for me, it probably was a penalty. I think indeed he maybe has enough time to move his hand away from the ball in that scenario. It was a bit tricky, and you know, it is hard to react, but I don't think it's close enough to be classed as close range. So yeah, I think the penalty was the right decision, which Haaland dispatched. And the second goal, it's a lovely ball by De Bruyne, but an even better finish from Haaland, I think. It's just the confidence in the finish to take that first time, I think. And yeah, obviously City relaxed from that point on. And that's when Leicester started to come into the game a bit. And I think the 11 men that Leicester had on the pitch near the end of the game was probably a better starting 11 for Dean Smith to pick than the one that started the game. I thought Christensen had a really tough time in the first half before Luke Thomas came onto the pitch to replace him. So yeah, I think, yeah, it's obviously going to be tough for Dean Smith. He's got to work out his starting 11 in his first game. But as performances go, that 20 minutes at the end for Leicester, that gives them something to, you know, feel a little bit inspired by, I think, just because they got a goal back. They didn't, you know, sort of like mope around the pitch, like just accepting defeat and not giving it a go at all. They went for it, and they were very unlucky in the end. So yeah, fair play to Leicester, I have to say, and that is the sort of thing that can inspire a team just to, you know, kickstart the end of their season and try and pull themselves out of this relegation scrap. I mean, it's going to be a very tough job with a new manager and players that are injured at the moment. One of their best players, Harvey Barnes, is injured. That they've got, you know, quite a few injury problems in their squad. So yeah, it's the sort of thing they needed, I think. That final end to the game. But yeah, anyway, that's my thoughts on it. Thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you next time.